Okay, so Facebook page, CryptoNutz.com. Well, I took CryptoNutz.com and it just goes to Facebook now because I was getting hacked so much I just got frustrated. I didn't bother. We do have a Discord channel, but we're doing more with Telegram right now. And so anybody that wants to access the Telegram, if you just send me a message through Facebook or send me a direct text, and I'll set you up to be able to tie into our Telegram channel. And then on the Telegram channel, we're going to make this local AI available to some of the members. It's going to be fine-tuned specifically for crypto, and it'll be an uncensored large language model that's running it, so you can ask it any question that you want. That's coming. I'm hoping before the next meetup, the third Thursday meetup, we'll have that. So NUTZ Token, yeah, I'll go past this, but we used to run all of our meetups on NUTZ tokens, and they're still there. And it wasn't really a thing about making money. Again, it was to teach people how cryptocurrency works. And we've really done almost everything with our NUTZ token. We've had it on the Binance chain, it's on Polygon. It's also, we created a DAO, so we have a decentralized autonomous organization, and we've done almost everything. We did it all with this NUTZ token just so people could see what it is and how it works. So if you want to go invest in a project, you don't see it for the first time when you're putting your money on the line. You can do it with an educational product that doesn't cost you any money to run. That's what that was all about. So the beginning of the presentation, what is money? And this is something that a lot of people really get confused about, is what is money? Because there's a lot of different definitions. And we call this one going down the crypto rabbit hole, because really once you start getting involved in crypto, you start realizing that there is a different way out of this. And this situation that we find ourselves in right now, with more and more government censorship and more control of our funds. I mean, many times I've heard from other members that have gone to the bank and asked for money, and the bank has actually said no. And I'm not talking about borrowing money, I'm talking about withdrawing their own money. And the bank has said no. I mean, oh my God, if a bank ever said that to me, well, oh, wait a minute, they did. And that's why I don't have many bank accounts anymore. But the thing is, they're trying to control you now. Like, they're trying to tell you what you can and can't do with your funds. And that's not going to get less. China has now implemented rules to start initiating the CBDC, country-based digital currency, and it's probably going to go through, and they can push it through even if the people don't want it. We're not far from that. There already has been rumblings about those sorts of things happening in Canada. You kind of see them on a street level, where you see businesses now that say cash is no longer welcome here. This is the beginning of that kind of thing. And if that happens, a lot of our personal freedoms and liberties will be gone very quickly, because they can geofence country-based currencies. They can say you can only spend it in certain areas. That's what they did in China with their digital currency. They said, okay, well, we don't want this pandemic to spread, so we'll only allow you to spend your currency that you own in this area. And that's where we're headed, unless we, as a country, wake up and realize that this is not something that we want. If a company doesn't want to sell you something for cash, don't deal with them. Tell everybody that you know not to deal with them, because the more this becomes accepted, it's like another nail in the coffin of our freedoms in Canada. So we really don't want to do this. And again, boycott any company that does not want to do cash. Don't deal with them. And try and deal in cash, and try and deal in Bitcoin whenever you can. I mean, you know, it's the way to go. You can get credit cards that will, you can cash your Bitcoin to put onto a credit card. There's lots of different ways to traditionally use Bitcoin, and we could talk about those a little bit more as we go along if you'd like as well. So this is money, and probably for the video they won't really be able to see this, so I'll kind of describe it. See these giant stones are called ray stones. It took, like, you know, 20 men to carry these stones between different tribes, and it's the island of Yap in Micronesia, and this was their trading network. They literally had people that would go ahead and carry these giant stones from one village to another, because that was their form of money. Well, it's not really that bad of a form of money, because it's pretty hard to you know, to counterfeit that, because you got to have like 20 people just to carry it, never mind to counterfeit it. So, and there's only certain rocks that could be that big and stuff like that, but that was an actual form of trade. And that's how you know, they would trade different things for these coins and have to carry them back and forth all over. So is this is the first known coin. It struck roughly 2,500 years ago in Lydia, which is modern day Turkey. It's believed to be the first version of a gold coin, and that's kind of the first time where, you know, humans said, we need a way to trade value between each other that is representative of my 20 goats is equal to one of these coins kind of thing. So this is kind of the beginning of that. And it, of course, continues on from there. But there are really only 4 types of money. And this is what, a lot of people get confused by this, and it is kind of confusing, to be honest with you. And I know it, and I understand it. I still cannot fathom, for the life of me, why we all bought into this fantasy. Because once you see it laid out, you just go, oh my God, why are we doing this? But we got no choice. We're sort of wrapped up into the matrix. Banks give out loans for more than what they hold in their reserves. It's called fractional reserves. Some of the more popular banks out there sometimes only have 2 or 3 or 4% of actual holdings compared. So that means for every $1 million that they've lent out, they'll only maybe have 30, 40,000 bucks of actual money sitting there because they just create money. It's really weird. They make it with paper. They make it with computers. They literally just create contracts. Like when you sign a loan, say you want to go buy a boat, you sign a loan for 20 grand. Well, they just created money because that money didn't exist. It didn't get printed. They created it, and now you have to pay it back. And that's like fractional reserves. It's money that they just make up. It's real, but it's not real, and it's actually really kind of confusing. But it's how banks work. And fiduciary money is another one. It's a promise to pay. We've all used these kind of things. You've seen them, like a check, a bank draft, certified check, money order, this kind of thing. But again, it's just a piece of paper that we all agree is one of these things. And I mean, for years it used to be, oh, you know, I will not take cash. I'll only take a bank draft. Well, now bank drafts are all being pirated. I mean, there's counterfeit bank drafts like crazy. Most banks, when you go to deposit a bank draft now, they don't even talk to each other anymore. So you can't say, oh, well, call that branch. That's a real bank draft I just got from my bank to deposit here to pay off my car loan. Just call my bank and verify that. No, we don't call. We don't talk to each other anymore. So banks don't talk to another bank. So they'll lock up your funds for, well, if you're lucky, maybe 5 working days, which can be almost 2 weeks if you happen to hit it the wrong day. And then guess what? You hope that it happens. And where does that money go in the meantime? Well, guess what? Fractional reserves. They're making money with your money, even while they're holding it for a short space of time. They're always making money with your money. And it's, you know, the money is not valuable. This is the thing. Our actual fiat currency is not valuable. It's got to be made out of the most inexpensive products that there are. Plastic. What about that one? How does that work into our environmental plan? We're not going to go there. But anyways, oh, come on. So they create it with plastic. They create it with really cheap metals. My God, you don't want to use a valuable metal. Let's use nickel. Let's use things that are virtually worthless. They even stopped making pennies in Canada because copper was too valuable. So imagine that. No, we're not going to do pennies anymore. It costs too much to do that. That's a real metal. Let's do it with metals that are as light as a feather, and we can put something fancy in the middle and they'll think it's valuable, you know, like a toonie, right? So modern day money is always made out of paper, plastic, cheap metals, things that they can reproduce inexpensively, quickly, and they'll tell you it's valuable and you'll believe it's valuable because it's your country currency. It's really not valuable. If that wasn't backed by, you know, the banks that would take it, it would be worthless. If you just had a piece of paper or a piece of plastic, it's worthless. That's one thing where cryptocurrency is different. But cryptocurrency in most countries right now is considered a commodity. It is in Canada. It's considered to be a commodity. So you own it like you would own gold or silver or something else like that. So you're taxed based on commodity rates. And in most countries are now considering Bitcoin and a lot of cryptocurrencies commodities. As we were talking about just a little bit earlier, some countries are backpedaling on that and now saying that some of these tokens are securities. That introduces a whole level of problems for any of these projects that deem to be a security. Once you're deemed to be a security, then you become part of the financial oversight of the things like the SEC. In Manitoba, you've got the Manitoba Security and Exchange Commission. You've got Ottawa. You've got every province has its own Security and Exchange Commission, just like you hear about the New York ones. And if they change one currency from being a commodity into an actual currency or a security, we're all in trouble. because then they could just deem all of it that way. Fortunately, Bitcoin is not that way yet, and Ethereum is not that way in Canada, but we were talking about that earlier too. There's rumblings through the SEC right now that they're going to reclassify Ethereum to be a security again. So not only is that horrifying, because it would decimate Ethereum, it would also decimate all of the layer 2 and layer 3 projects that are running on Ethereum right now. So that could really change crypto as we know it if the governments really start coming on heavy-handed. And the countries that are more technologically advanced and are more willing to adopt new technologies are the ones that'll go ahead. People, you know, small countries like El Salvador is laughing all the way to the bank because most of their Bitcoin was bought at a very, very low, inexpensive rate. So, commodity money. This, I won't actually do this one, but I'll show you what I'm talking about here. I just printed a bunch of this movie money. And what I did in the group of people is I said, okay, I didn't say it was US dollars. What I said was, I have this $100 note right here that I'm willing to sell right now to anybody in the room for $5 Canadian. There was lots of people that were interested in doing it, and they thought it was great. $5 for $100. But the problem is that this was just a piece of paper. Right? It's movie money. It's like when you see the stacks of money, like in Breaking Bad, the pallets full of money. That's what it was. It was this kind of movie because my nephew was in the movie business and he gave me a stack of these $100 movie money, and that was my last one that I had left. But the thing is that people actually were willing to give me $5 Canadian for a piece of paper, because our brains have been taught that there's value, even though there really isn't. I mean, it even says, if you look on it, it says reserve note, it says not legal tender, it says movie money on the backside, but it looks kind of official. Years ago, a buddy of mine grabbed one of these and went down to Tim Hortons to buy some coffee, and they were going to give him the change, and he says, oh, no, that's the wrong bill, I'll give you this one. And I said, oh my God, if you'd done that, you know that even though you think this is funny, you can go to jail. Like, this is not funny. Like, okay. So, but that's just kind of an example of how paper is not money. And Bitcoin's a commodity, so where is it? So a lot of people get confused with these tokens, and I've got some over here too, I think. These little guys. You know, I give them away. They're kind of a fun little thing. Client buys some Bitcoin, I can give them these little tokens. Ironically enough, a lot of people like these little tokens almost more than the real thing, because it's something tangible that they can touch and it's in their hand. But the thing is that even with banks, your money, unless you withdraw cash, all of your money is already digital. It's not like this is a new foreign concept. Like, you know, you may keep some cash around if you're going somewhere where you need to use it, but most people now are using their cards, they're using their watches, they're using this or that. And the thing is about that, when you look at what the banks have, they don't have a special shelf with your name with fiat currency sitting there exactly how much you have in your account. They just have a digital ledger. And that's the exact same way that Bitcoin works. It works through a digital ledger. The only difference is that with a bank, they keep track of that digital ledger. They keep track of your assets. They just use it with their own proprietary computers, and they look at this and they say, oh yeah, you know, Norm has $100,000 in his savings account. Great. You've got that. That's good. Now, if you go back there tomorrow and you say, okay, well, I'm here. I want my $99,999. I'm going to leave $1 in my account. And they go, you don't have anything in your account. Now, the onus is on you to prove that you had it. If that's a bank error, if it's the other way, if they've given you $100 grand and you take it out and you spend it, you go to jail. And the other way, if you've had $100 grand and they take it, you have to now prove that you actually had it and where you got it from and what it is. And you don't really own it when it's with their ledger. And that's the huge difference that banks have compared to cryptocurrency. When you own cryptocurrency on the blockchain, which is a ledger, you own it. Nobody can take it. They can't steal it from you as long as you have it air-gapped from the internet and you have it in a safe hardware type of wallet, which I'll throw around some of those later. The nice thing about Bitcoin is you don't have to trust anyone. Like, if I want to do a transaction with someone, I can send them crypto. They don't have to trust me. They know when they see it in their wallet, they own it. It can never go back. So Bitcoin is really good for that.